My name is John Flynn. I'm Programme Manager for the Better Energy Warmer Home Scheme. I work for Sustainable Energy Authority of Ireland. SEAI are the National Energy Advisors to the Government. We advise them on policy and we implement policy when policy decisions are made. I'm going to run through some basic energy saving tips. They're very basic, very high level stuff, very easy to understand. I'm going to run through three of our grant schemes. There's a lot of slides on the third scheme, which is principally aimed at industry. I'll skip through those rather quickly. Okay, biggest mistake most people make, they heat up their home too high and then open windows or doors to let out the heat. Your thermostat should be set at 20. That's the maximum it should be at, and even 20 is quite high, we would suggest. For sleeping areas, it should be lower than that, somewhere between 18 and 16, we suggest. Now, I know thermostats, also you need to be very careful where the thermostats are placed. If you place this thermostat underneath a radiator, obviously the rest of the room is going to be freezing cold. The thermostat will say that it's particularly warm. If you lower your thermostat by 1 degree, you save about 10% off your heating bill, which, given the cost of oil, is very significant. Much of your heat loss will go out through windows, especially if they're single glazed. SEAI would recommend that you use double glaze with argon filled. Argon as a gas in the glazing, or you can now use triple glazing windows, which are quite expensive to install, but they are very energy efficient. You should keep your curtains closed at night, and it's not a great idea to have your curtains all the way down to the floor, especially if your radiator is right underneath it. Typically, RADs are and have been set underneath the window in most homes for the last 15-20 years. Okay, this may seem obvious, but if you have rooms which are not being heated and the doors are open into said rooms, the heat will transfer into unheated areas. So if you're not heating particular areas, maybe you don't use that room too often, you should keep the door closed at all times. It saves heat being transferred into an area which is not being heated. Turn off lights when you're leaving a room, if at all possible. Switch appliances off rather than leaving them on standby. Your TV will chew up 20% of electricity just by sitting there being plugged in on standby. We would suggest you switch it off completely, switch it off at the socket if you can. I don't suggest you switch off your skybox, otherwise there'll be tears in the house, as has happened to me on occasion. Use timers on your immersions and boilers if you can. If you have heating controls, we suggest you use them. So if you're putting in a new heating system, what we would suggest, if possible, is you would heat zones in your home. What are the zones? Typically, you'd have a zone for hot water only. You would have a zone for downstairs, and you would have a zone for upstairs. So during the day, say this time of year from 6 o'clock on, you heat downstairs only. And after about 9 o'clock, 10 o'clock, when you're intending to go to bed, you would start to heat upstairs and start switching off downstairs. And your timer would need to be set up to do that. Good plumbers would set up timers for you. And the timers are now they're hugely complicated, but if they're set up correctly and you're taught how to use them, they're a very effective way of reducing your energy bill. Lighting, CFLs. Now, I've done this in my own house. I've gone in, I changed all the bulbs and changed. Now, you have to change a little bit of wiring when you're changing the bulbs. It cost me about 200 quid to change these downlighters that I have in the ceiling. They say you save up to 8 to 10%, and the bulbs last considerably longer. I haven't changed the bulb in about 2 years since I put these in, so I didn't really see any huge significant energy saving, but then I've got two teenagers in the house. Appliances. Okay, you're not going to do this every day, but if you're out buying appliances, I bought a TV myself there recently. If you're out buying appliance, buy an A-rated one. You'll pay an extra 50, 60 quid, but you'll get the money back over the life of the machine. Insulation. This is the easiest thing you could do. It can be expensive, but it is the most cost-effective thing you could do to your home. Insulate. 30% of your heat will be lost through the attic unless you insulate your attic. Considerably more can be lost through walls. Ideally, the cheapest way of insulating your walls is by pumping the cavity. Pumping a cavity might cost you in the region of 1500 euro, but you will save that immeasurably over a very short period of time. I've mentioned about the heating controls, heating systems upgrade. If you're buying new boilers, try and buy the most efficient boiler you can. They're very expensive items, I do appreciate that, but the more effective and the more efficient your boiler is, the more money it actually save you. Don't buy a boiler without putting controls on the system. It's virtually a waste of money. One thing I would have also said in there that I didn't include is heating water is very expensive. So if you're going to heat water, especially for cups of tea, if you have a full house, fill the kettle. If you don't have a full house, don't fill the kettle, only put in it what you want out of it. You'd be surprised how many people fill the kettle and actually waste money. It's a huge amount of money. I think boiling a kettle costs about 70p. If you boil just a cup, it's in the region of 20p. Okay. There's no grants. I'm going to talk about grants now. There's no grants for new buildings. The new building requirements is that all homes must be built to what's called a B1 energy rating. So if there are people out there who don't want to build to the B1, you're doing a self-build, you won't get it certified by anybody, that's fine, that's not a problem. The issue you'll have is when you go to sell that home, you will not get a BER and you will not be able to sell the home. You shouldn't be able to sell the home. There are grants available for retrofit. So if you have an existing home, these are the grants that are available. They're available for attic insulation, wall insulation, heating systems, including solar systems and heating systems, sorry. Before you do any works whatsoever, you must have approval from SEAI. If you wish to avail of the grant, you must have approval from SEAI before you touch any works. Otherwise, we will not pay you the grant. You must also, when you're nominating what works you're going to do, you must nominate your installer at that point. So the grants that are available are the attic, 200 euro, cavity 250, dry lining, which is slabbing on the inside of the home, will actually reduce the size of the room. A lot of people don't like it, but it is quite effective. For small homes, mid-terrace be 900 euro, and up to a detached home be 1800 euro. External wall, again, it's an expensive product. You're slabbing the outside of the wall, putting the thermal, reducing the thermal efficiency or increasing thermal efficiency of the wall by reducing the amount of heat that can escape through the wall. External insulation goes from 1800 euro for small homes to a detached home, 3600. Heating systems with boiler controls, it's 560 euro. I think a boiler is in the region of 2,000 to 3,000 euro. So you're getting a small percentage of the cost of the boiler. You must put in heating upgrades, heating controls. Heating controls could cost in the region of 1,200 euro, depending on the size of your home. There's obviously grants down for solar heating, and there's a BER grant as well. Okay, the Warmer Home Scheme, which is a scheme I run for SEAI. This is a free grant, and I do mean free. The client pays absolutely not a single penny for this. To qualify, you must own the home. You must receive one of the following: fuel allowance, family income support, and job seekers over 6 months with kids under 7. Now, the fuel allowance is not the allowance that old people get. It is a separate payment. It's 20 euro a week from April to October. So just in case you are lucky enough to be in receipt of the old age pension and get other home, I think it's called a home package, free electricity, free phone, that's not what we're talking about. It's the fuel allowance. Okay, the communities program is aimed at, this presentation is actually for industry guys. So I'll briefly run through the what the communities is, just so as you have an appreciation for it. Funding for this year is 12 million euro for this project. There's a competitive evaluation process. It's looking at new and innovative approaches to insulating buildings. We're looking for a high-end delivery, energy improvements in the Irish community. This year we're going out, just to tell the market, we're going out very early. This is early for SEAI. We normally go out much later in the year. There's an application review process available, so if anybody does have projects, SEAI will review prior to you submitting. We will be running clinics to help applicants who have a project, who have been successful, to advise them how to manage the project. And this is for the wider community. It's not just for homes. We have supported electric buses previously. It's a van actually that does the home dinners for the elderly. This is what we did last year. The number of projects was 98. Domestic homes that were upgraded was 4,000. Energy poor, which are the people who would qualify for the warmer home scheme. The SEAI grants total last year was 24 million. We think we sustained about 900 jobs, and we saved about the energy credits there is 95 gigawatt hours, and I don't know what a gigawatt hour is, to be honest with you. Okay, the application process starts, we did a launch in January. The process closes in March. If you have a project, the project needs to be in with SEAI at the end of March. The project must be fully delivered by October. There will be no extensions into 2016. There will be a brand new program in 2016. So what are we trying to do? We're looking at the building fabric, trying to upgrade the building fabric, walls, ceilings, heating systems. We're looking at other systems as well. So external cladding will be deemed to be a system. Ventilation, for example, would be deemed to be a system. So we're looking to upgrade those. We're looking at the integration of monitoring controls as we go and do those upgrades, and we're looking for renewable sources of energy if possible. What kind of funding would you get if you came to us with a project? Well, you could get, for fuel poor clients, you could get the total project funded 100%. If the project has local authority ownership of the homes, we would give up to 50%. For non-occupied, for non-fuel poor homes, 30%. For community groups, up to 50%. So what's a community group? Well, the GAA might have come to us before and ran out a project where they upgraded, not the pitches now, but they upgraded the training facilities, such as the showers and the changing rooms, and they would have got 50% of the cost of upgrading those. Private sector, if a private sector come to us with a project such as the hotel here, we could give up to 30%. Public sector, so if Donegal County Council want to upgrade their buildings, we would give 30%. Now we will go, if we get an exemplar product or project, we will go beyond 30%. That'll be at the discretion of SEAI, depending on how innovative it is being deemed. We're looking for a balance of funding, so SEAI want to give some money, but not all the money. So ideally, we wouldn't like to give a lot of projects 100%, but if it's a really good project, we could do that. We're looking for other funding mechanisms and other people to become involved. Typically, the energy savings can be sold on these projects. So the likes of ESB, Bord Gosh, the oil industry, they're all looking to buy into these projects and will pay you to deliver these projects. We will also put you in touch with a coordinator for these projects. So if you're doing domestic projects, you must comply with the SEAI standard code of practice and building regulations and our technical specifications. We will look for an optimal solution. So if you go into a home and you want to do cavity and attic, but actually the windows are falling out, we would demand that you put in the windows as well. Yes, that will mean the increased cost, but we want the whole house solution for the homes that we're going to upgrade. There's a minimum barrier uplift that we're looking for, but also we want the lowest BER after the home is done to be a D1. You must do a sample of the BERs prior to doing any works. It doesn't have to be, we would suggest in the region of 5 to 10%. So if you're doing 10 homes, for example, as part of your project, we might look for 1, maybe 2. And the aim is to have 70%. If you're doing a domestic project, we would like 70% of the homes to be fuel poor. That can be watered down. If you just can't get to 70%, that's fine. You get less points in the evaluation process, so I wouldn't be overly stuck up with the 70%. The energy poor homes are the same as the warmer homes, so fuel allowance, job seekers, and family income support. SEAI is mandated to get energy savings from public buildings, hospitals, guard stations, local authority office blocks. So this program is aimed at these type of organizations too. This is for the small industry. We're looking for the small to medium-sized organizations to come on board with SEAI. If they have a project, we will organise the coordinator to help delivery. We will organise an obligated party to buy the energy credits. So we're saying to small business, this program is for you, and please come to us and talk to us about projects. Projects which we wouldn't consider are if there's no community benefit. For example, a public house, we wouldn't really be interested in that. Single element projects, if you decided you were going to only do attics, for example, wouldn't really look at that. Renewables only, we'd like renewables to be integrated in some way. Auditing and monitoring projects, they're not really that particularly good. The evaluation criteria for our projects are set out there. That's how we score and decide which projects offer us best value. It's not value for money, it's best value overall. Okay, so SEAI have a load of information on these grants up on our website. We've guidelines, application forms, technical workbooks. They're all available on our on our website. A lot of our grants are web driven. We encourage everybody to use our website as opposed to using paper. That's just the type of organization that we are. When you're submitting information for these grants, there's a lot of technical information, and the application form is quite long. I would suggest you get help. We can provide help. More importantly, we will provide you with a coordinator who actually knows how to do all this and will help you in the administration of delivery of the project. Okay, so what can you get money back for? You get money back for your management costs. The guy I've just told you who will help you coordinate. You will get money back for your external labour costs, the equipment of buying the products, the heating systems, the boilers, the windows, the doors, the attic installation. You will also get your VAT back if you're not allowed to claim VAT back. If there's additional specialist costs, so maybe you need to do an environmental study before you're allowed to do the works, or maybe you need some sort of approval to do works in an old building, those costs can be incurred. What are you not allowed to claim? There's lots of bits and pieces that you're not allowed to claim. The next couple of slides are the items that are common errors, and I'll just highlight them there. The cost of preparing submitting an application you will not get. So any cost that is incurred by you to the point of getting to an application to SEAI, that will not be recovered. Your internal staff costs won't be covered. It's very difficult to tease them out, so we don't allow those to be incurred. Any costs incurred prior to grant approval. So if you do any works, let's say you're doing a boiler program and you decided to first fix the home, that first fix won't be included and will be excluded. Now how we decide if it's if the cost is a first fix cost prior to grant agreement, the only way you do that is if the documentation wasn't correct, such as invoices, for example. So just be very careful. You shouldn't actually proceed with any works. There's contact details for SEAI if you wish to proceed with contacting us. But if you ring any of our offices, you'll come straight through to one of the team who'll be more than delighted to walk you through a process. There is another program that SEAI does to support communities. Now typically these are small towns such as Letterkenny, for example. This process came out of a program which we ran up in Dundalk, which is the Holistic Project, where we ring-fenced a zone in Dundalk and decided we would try and make it energy carbon neutral by 2020, and we set a 5-year milestone to achieve a certain amount of objectives. Some of the objectives have been achieved and some of them haven't. In the Sustainable Energy Community Programme in Dundalk, what we have is we have the County Council involved, we have the hospitals, we have the Regional Technical College, we have the local school, and we have SEAI on site. So we've done items such as the school is completely, except for the really dark winter months, is self-sustained in relation to electricity. It has solar panels on the roof. The Technical College has its own wind turbine. The hospital has been completely re-roofed and re-insulated on the outside, and the energy costs have been halved, and they've got new boilers on site for the hospital as well. So there's a huge big project up there which has been developed, and we hope to roll out this program to other towns and locations. Really does need the involvement of county councils and other people who are decision makers. There's a big commitment to this by not just technical people. It also involves county council people being involved, local authorities, hospital staff being involved. So there's a huge commitment, and there are a number of projects that you would like to do, but only a couple of projects which are deliverable, which is the small triangle there in the middle. You need people who are going to act as enablers. You need people with innovation. You need collaboration with industry. You need access to funding. These things don't just happen themselves, and SEAI is not a bottomless pit, so you will need access to funding. Infrastructure and IT, again, I would suggest that the industry should be able to deliver a lot of this. An awful lot of this stuff is not new technology. It's technology which is only a couple of years old, but it's certainly good technology and is currently available at relatively low cost. I've said to the guys here about RenNet that they're probably at section 3. They've come a certain journey. The Better Energy Communities is where you take action. You decide what projects you're going to use, how much money you're going to make available, and I would suggest that the RenNet guys are at about a stage 3 where they need to make a plan and decide what action is possible, how they're going to fund it, and later on they can review it. And SEAI is available if they need help in doing that. Thank you all very much.